Hey, how you doing? So earlier today, I posted a rather solemn video about my declaration of war with DSHS over the period of calculation for back child support. Now we're going to take a turn, and I'm going to point out the 5 funny or interesting things about having a catastrophic stroke. So, uh, uh, so uh, number one, your memory is totally flattened out, right? A couple months ago I was searching my brain to figure out what I had for lunch the previous day, and the names of everyone I went to third grade with just popped into my head. So if I went to third grade with you, I definitely still have your name stuck in there somewhere, but I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. Uh, and it's at memory. So it's entirely flat. It's like the file system's damaged to the point where it lost all the timeline data, and memories are not. You have to think about it to figure out where it is in the personal timeline, right? So I'm walking through Ballard, a place where I grew up, and I'm looking at houses going, hey, that's Richie Ray's house. I should stop in and say hi, except it's been 45 years since or there's a park we got, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and they're crystal clear. So uh, yeah. uh, uh, my writing skill has actually improved, or at least I think so. What do I know? I had a stroke, but but there's a certain. I think my aphasia. I don't know what's happening, but I suspect that my aphasia is forcing me to think slower and formulate my thoughts better before I start writing. Because it play, uh, but I can write for better and longer and don't require an outline as much. I can keep my brain around what's going on. Uh, I was a very hyperactive kid, right? Uh, I'm sure I was, on spectrum or whatever you would call it these days. Those days we just called it that hyper kid. Uh, uh, and I moved around very, very quickly. Like I was like, one of this. I know it's a politically incorrect term, but I sort of accepted it as a child that I was a bit of a spaz, and uh, but more than once in a public place, I saw a look of fear in a doddering or frail old person's eyes that I did not understand, and I'm truly sorry for. There's a point. There's a point where you lose enough control of your emotion that it can take you an extra half second or second to speed up or slow down, and it doesn't matter if the kid that's zipping by you at high speed uh, knows they're not going to hit you. Your body, like I know they're not going to hit me, right? But my body doesn't. And so for every old person I cut off being, and then thought, what's going on with you? I apologize. So that's that. Uh, there was a point in the hospital where I could sing but not speak. And apparently this is quite common. Neurologist was like, give it a shot. He said, hey, sometimes this works for people. And it turned out I was one of the people. It was a brief period. It was about a week long. But I had to think about it and then set it to some kind of tune from something that I'd heard before, and very seldom have requests for such mundane things been sung to the rhythm of Tom Sawyer by Rush, or one of the Cars songs, because that's what my brain went to. Uh, Lastly, and this is, I question whether, so there was a tiny brunette nurse at the hospital, and uh, she was right in my wheelhouse, so to speak. But I had a stroke, right? But apparently, the night I arrived, and Mary, my manager at Pagliacci Pizza, the night I arrived at the hospital, uh, she asked me, did I know who I was? And apparently, I said, I'm James Bond. And then I passed out. Now, I never saw her face. We interacted for weeks, and she always had a mask on. It's COVID protocol, so I haven't even actually seen her face. But my aunt was in the room. My aunt Pat was in the room when she came in, and my aunt Pat realized that I was gonna get better when she saw my reaction to that uh, uh, petite woman. And I was nothing but a gentleman, but I was excited. Not excited, but happy to see her. Uh, so that's the funny parts of having a stroke. I'll post another 5. There's a lot of hilarious stuff. I spent 2 hours crawling up the stairs to get to my bed when I got home, uh, step by step, dragging myself up. Uh, and there's just but significant recovery is possible. Just be patient, and if I think of anything else, I'll post another video. Thanks.